Hello and welcome back. This is Penny Sansbury and Amy Cornell, and this is the Book Marketing Tips and Author Success Podcast. We're so excited. First off, Amy came up with this great idea to do mini-sodes. And if you are listening to this podcast on a Thursday, check back on Friday because we are going to be dropping 5-minute little mini-sode. I love that term, mini-sodes, Amy. I'm so thrilled you came up with that.
No, I can't take full credit. I was just borrowing an idea. I'm a true crime podcast lover for everybody that's listening. Maybe some of you are as well. And I live for the mini-sodes because I desperately wait for new content to go live. And they keep people like me happy with mini-sodes. So like, yes, it's something. I'm happy with anything. So, so I figure, it's a great way to chat about stuff that we can't make a full episode out of, but it's also things that, you and I are sending across our virtual desks and texting each other about, and just, fun, interesting, cool stuff that's going on that we're chatting about anyway, that we figure we might as well bring everybody in on the conversation, right?
Yeah. So there might be marketing tips, but maybe publicity ideas, some new stuff that's going on in publishing. So it's going to be kind of a blend of things, but hopefully you will find it very helpful. And again, just want to remind folks, we love reviews. I keep checking back for reviews wherever you listen to your podcast, whether it's on Stitcher or we're going to be on Pandora very soon. We're going nationwide, thanks to our new and exciting crew, Bernie, Frankie, and Cosmo, helping us to promote the episode. So this week we are going to talk about creative ways to use Bookbub, and I love Bookbub. If you aren't familiar with Bookbub, you can go to bookbub.com and take a look. They are mostly known for their daily deals, and their daily deals are pretty powerful. They're pretty expensive. If you do like a US daily deal for a really popular genre like romance or mystery, you're probably looking at maybe $1,600 to $1,800, depending. There are a lot of factors that kind of weigh into that. I'm just guesstimating that, but it's not inexpensive. They're really fun. They're hard to get because they're so popular, but there are a lot of other things to Bookbub, and I thought that it was important to put this episode together because there's more to Bookbub than just the daily deals. And I think it's a really fun and easy thing for authors to include in their book marketing toolkit. And Amy, you run Bookbub ads, and I want to just be really clear, because when we talk about ads, a lot of times authors think we're talking about deals, but the ads are that's a separate thing on Bookbub, right? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, ads are completely separate from the deals, and anyone can run an ad anytime they want, which is really fabulous. And the parameters, there are no parameters. There's no rules. So
I love that.
I know, but it's really great because especially for authors that are really trying to ramp up, their platform, or your first time author, it's really hard to get deals, when you're just starting out, because as you were talking about, Penny, like there's a lot of qualifications that go into it, and it's not an easy thing to snag. So if you get one, congratulations, it's a huge deal, but know that ads are there for everybody. So, and they're a great resource to have, and such a user-friendly platform. Bookbub's done a fabulous job at it. So
that's great. So walk us through, because we're going to get to some other stuff about Bookbub, but I want to stay focused on the ads since that's kind of where we started. Tell us a little bit about how to run these.
Yes. So shameless plug right now. I want everybody to know that we do have, I know, right? I feel like I should just say it. But we have this great membership that's strictly videos, step-by-step how-tos. It originally started with all things Amazon, and it's now branched out into other strategies that really also support what you have going on Amazon. And Bookbub is one of those. And so we have quite a few videos, a handful of Bookbub-centric videos on our membership that actually walk you through step-by-step with screenshots and things like that. So that's going to go, the link to that's going to go in the show notes, so you can check this out. So we can definitely walk you through step by step, but I can certainly hit on kind of the key areas for why we like ads so much. I think the biggest thing to keep in mind is that you want to try different approaches. Like any sort of ad platform, you really have to do some testing and see what works for you. And Bookbub makes it really easy. For everything that we do for our clients, we always take a genre topic approach and then also an author approach where we associate ads with other popular authors that are in our client's genre or topic and kind of see where we get more engagement, and kind of we watch what happens there, because it's amazing. Bookbub will actually tell you which of those authors that you chose, which of their readers resonated with your book most. So that's really cool. There's some really great data in there too. So you can see after your ad's done, it's like, oh wow, people that are following this author really responded well to my ad. And it's really exciting. And it gives you a lot of great data to use going forward. You'll also want to test whether or not a custom image or the template option that Bookbub gives you better engagement. The template is very handy, I'll admit it. But for what it's worth, it's not going to be the most interesting looking ad. So, you know, as you're stepping into it and just getting your feet wet, there's absolutely nothing wrong with using the format that Bookbub gives you right on their platform. But I definitely encourage you to suck it up and get used to creating some of your own ads and trying something a little more creative to help you, you know, stand out. We've used BookBrush a lot. It's very straightforward. And basically what they do is give you a lot of different templates, and they're very specific to different sizes. So you know you're going to get the right size. You really get to just put in your book cover, add in your own hook. Like, it's a really simple way to make something very unique to your book and your brand. And so I definitely encourage you to test out both of those, because, you know, if you've got a really fabulous cover, that especially one that stands out really well in a thumbnail size image, Penny, the basic Bookbub ad will probably still serve you very well. But, you know, not all covers do as well in smaller format. And that, I think, is when it's really key to do a more custom image for your ad, just so you stand out a little bit more if your book cover is just not one of those designs that still jumps off the page as a thumbnail.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of the things too, is that when we did the video for the Amazon video course, the master video course that we did, we looked at a couple of different ads, and some of them were like, oh, that's going to be a difficult conversion. So that book cover, that ad, the look of that ad matters so much.
It really does. Yeah. So I would definitely say, you know, be self-aware enough about how powerful your book cover is when you shrink it down. And then if it's one of those that just doesn't stand out as much when it's super small, then get used to customizing your own ads. It's really actually very simple, and it will serve you really well. The next piece is obviously money. Everybody wants to know, how much is this going to cost me, right? Like,
Right.
that's, and it's a fair question. We love Bookbub ads because they're relatively inexpensive. You know, it's not one of those things where it's like, well, if you don't spend at least $300, it's really not worth your time.
Right.
Like, that is not what Bookbub is about. And one of the reasons we love it so much, because you can use it over and over again to support other marketing efforts, because you can really start with something as little as $10. Like, start an ad, spend $10 on it, and then see what happens and how quickly you go through that budget and things like that. But that's, you know, this is key. You can spend a lot of time and money marketing your book. So it's really good to have these less expensive, but really targeted strategies kind of in your pocket to use, you know?
Yeah.
And then,
and those BookBub, just let me stop you.
Oh, yeah.
Where do those BookBub ads, so they show up at the bottom of these daily deal newsletters?
yes, they go out on the newsletter. That's where they show up. So that's another reason. See, there's so many great features.
Yeah.
But that's another reason, honestly, I tell all of our clients when they go, okay, so what really happened with this, you know, which is a fair question. And that's another reason that I really like the Bookbub ads, because they go into someone's email, you know, so they're not just a display ad on a website that may cycle out the next time somebody goes to a different page. And then all of a sudden, oh, your ad's gone. You know, there's your money spent, and now it's disappeared. I think it's really great that these ads and that your book and your cover and the impression you get to make is actually in somebody's inbox. So it's got a longer shelf life being in an inbox. You know, somebody may open it right away on their phone, you know, and just like scan through real quick to see what the deals are, but they're like, okay, I'll come back to this later. And so you really get a chance at making multiple impressions with the same recipient in that way as well. And a lot of people save these emails because of the deals. So people don't want to miss out on a deal. So a lot of times, it's just something that sticks around a little bit longer that they'll reference back to. So it's a great way to get a quality impression in that, book cover recognition as
Yeah.
well.
And one of the other things that I like about the Bookbub newsletter too is there aren't a lot of books in that newsletter. So there are some deal newsletters, ebook deal news, which I know we're going to do a show on ebook promotions, but there are some deal newsletters that are very long. And if I'm just cycling through email, I don't always have the time to get to the bottom of that newsletter. But
Oh, know it.
the Bookbub newsletters are shorter. So there are maybe, I want to say maybe 5 or 7 books in them, which means that I'm going to hit that bottom ad much quicker. And I've bought books off of that ad. Like I've seen them like, oh, this is because whoever ran that ad, like you talked about, Amy, you isolate it to the exact right reader group, which is going to get you a lot more in the way of clicks.
Exactly. And the mobile version, to your point about how well they handle their distribution of this many, the mobile version, I almost love even more because the ad actually shows up as the full screen on your mobile device. And so it's actually your ad has a more prominent image than their featured books.
Yeah.
Really, in reality, like minus the little blurb about what it's about, but the actual space that you take up is more than the featured book. So it's a good spot to be in, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. And I love that one of the other things that we don't so often talk about with Bookbub is the networking, right? So whenever I get on the phone with our authors and we're talking about their campaign or we're doing some coaching, I always try to encourage them to get on Bookbub as some additional exposure. So you can set up an author profile there. And if you haven't already done so, make sure that you grab yours, add your picture, your bio, because the author profile is free and it doesn't just automatically show up every time you publish. Like you do have to grab it and put in a little bit of effort. When you put together your profile, they also give you sign up suggestions. So suggestions of other authors to follow in your genre, and as well as recommending, author emails and things like that. The reason that I mention this is because as you grow your profile on Bookbub, you could show up in recommendations as well. So you could show up as the Bookbub recommendation of here's an author to follow. You should follow, XYZ or whatever. So that's part of the reason that the recommendation engine on Bookbub is really quite good. And I like the fact that the profiles are not just, well, here's your picture and your bio, good luck with that. Like they're pretty robust. You can get, you do have to grab your books. So when you put your profile up, it doesn't automatically say, oh, these are all of, Amy's books or Penny's books or whatever. You do have to grab them, but they do have some great features.
Yeah, it is. It's a really great, it's a really good networking opportunity. And the fact that it's free makes it even better.
Yeah.
Again, free money. Like we really have to talk about these things because it really matters. As much as we like to talk about, oh no, it's about the quality engagement. It's like, all right, but still, like how much is this going to cost me? How much time do I have to spend? Again, Bookbub is a really user-friendly platform. It's really one of the best ones that I've used in regards to just really being able to get on there and get stuff done. And I also love it because it's so reader-centric. All the different places that you can spend your time, all the different social media options there are out there. That when you're doing something on Bookbub, you're getting in front of readers. It's very similar to why I'm such a big fan of Goodreads and keeping up with that, is because when you know that the people on the receiving end are already book fans and looking for books, you're that much closer to making that sale.
Right. Exactly. Now, the next thing that I really love with regards to Bookbub is the follow button. So Amazon has an author follow button, and at one point you could increase your followers on Amazon by doing certain promos, and Amazon got rid of that, which was really a shame. Bookbub has the author follow button. So you can follow any author who is on Bookbub that you like. And then what Bookbub will do is when you get, when you release your next book, BookBub will let you know.
I
And
know.
I
I
think
love
that
that.
is just so fabulous.
I know I've totally bought books because BookBub let me know that one of the authors I follow has a new book out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I need to go pre-order that right now.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Um,
And you mentioned you have to grab all your titles still.
yes, you do have to grab all your titles. So the key to this really is that you want to make sure that your book data is always up to date. So unlike with your Amazon profile, because Amazon, you list your book on Amazon and it immediately tethers the book to the author. BookBub doesn't do that. So you do have to make sure that every time you upload a book to Amazon, whether it's a pre-order or whatever, you have to update BookBub. Now, one of the other things that I really like about BookBub is that when you put up a pre-order, BookBub will notify your followers that this book is up for pre-order, and then you get another notification when when the book is actually live. So I really, really like that. Now, one of the ways that you could build your followers, because it's one thing to have the follow button, but it's quite another thing to have followers. And it's really interesting because we have an author that we've cited a lot on the show, and then we've also done a lot of testing with this particular author. And I went into her BookBub profile one day and she has like, I don't know, 300-400 followers on there, right? It's the craziest thing. And one of the ways that she built the followers is by doing book recommendations. So she would recommend books to her followers. And when you first recommend books, you're recommending them to basically nobody if you don't have any followers. But what happens is these recommendations, so it's a little bit like Goodreads when you're running a Goodreads giveaway and it shows up in the quote unquote feed of Goodreads. The same thing is true for BookBub. So your recommendations end up showing up in this BookBub feed, right? And it's hard to kind of explain that on a podcast because we're not like showing the screenshots and whatever, but we did this obviously for the video course. And it's really, really fun. And that's actually how that's a great way to build followers is people will organically follow you on BookBub if they, as you're doing these ads that Amy talked about, for example, or maybe you're getting a BookBub deal. But the other way to do it is just do recommendations. And I like to go onto BookBub and review books. And you don't have to be super sort of loquacious. Like you don't have to write like a 150-word review or something. I mean, something that's really thoughtful, obviously. So you can go on and review books, but then also make book recommendations and tell your followers why you like the book, right? So that's a really, really, really fun way to build. And, surprisingly, you can build your following pretty quickly that way.
I love that. I love organic follows. And it's true. One of the best ways to do that is by being a fan and a participant in your genre instead of just being an author who pushes stuff out and says, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. Like, they want to feel that you're really into it.
Yeah.
And you can also share your profile on social media. Not could or can, definitely should. If you have social media, share your BookBub profile on there, put it in your newsletter. We say over and over again, no single book marketing strategy or activity should go unsupported or be done in a vacuum. If you're going to do one thing, you should also, part of doing that is knowing how you're going to support it with at least two other efforts, so promoting your profile on social media would be one, and pushing it out to your newsletter would be that second. And taking those extra steps to figure out how you're going to support your efforts is just a really great way to ensure you get more return for your time and investment. And again, BookBub ads, they're a great thing to add to those additional supporting activities. So whether you're doing a discount promotion, anything like that, anything special going on with your book, get some BookBub ads going because you want to generate those additional impressions where people are going, oh wait, I just saw that cover on something else that I was looking at. Okay, I really need to look at this because, now the universe is telling me I need to check out this book. So
Right.
those impressions matter. So BookBub is a great way to generate additional impressions and support your other marketing activities. So people are seeing your book on multiple different channels and in different areas online and what they're doing with,
Right, exactly. And like we said, it's a very inexpensive It's a very inexpensive but effective way to add just a little something to your marketing. You don't have to spend huge amounts of time. We like that, right? We like things that don't require huge investments of our time. But it definitely is worth, it's definitely worth investigating. In the show notes, just so y'all know, in the show notes, we're going to have so I'm going to grab some of the tips that Amy shared specifically to the ads. And we're going to have a link to, just another plug, I'm sorry, but it's just so fabulous. We're going to have a link to our master Amazon video series if you want to take a look at that and maybe subscribe to it. There will be a link and a discount code in the show notes. Once again, want to thank you so much for tuning in to the podcast. We're so grateful for your support. We love show ideas, so please, our contact details are in the show notes. You're welcome to send us ideas or what you thought about the show, what you'd like to see more of or less of. Obviously, you want to see more of our dogs at some point where we should have them on the show somehow.
I know. Yeah. If y'all haven't been to our podcast page on our website, it's just amarketingexpert.com/podcast. Pretty straightforward. Go and check out our team, our production team. It's a pretty big deal. Like, we have made it now. We have a team.
We have a team. We're going to start acknowledging each of them at the end of every show because they are just amazing. And again, tune into our little mini-sodes and we would love a review. I am such a review junkie wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is the fabulous Amy Cornell and Penny Sansevieri. Thank you for listening to the show. Bye-bye.